Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on December 29th, 2023 at approximately 4:14 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies that actually guide my day-to-day movements by. Now, with this in mind, I figure we're tying the year off, and there's been a lot of talk of paranormal phenomenon, UFOs, all of this. So I figure let's do something a little backwards. How do we make the paranormal normal? Or when does the paranormal become normal? Now, before I get into it, first of all, we have Football Cat in the house with the gold. And Christine has arrived with the silver. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you've got the end of the year worked out so you know what you're up to. I know for me it's a bit of a guess of time, but what the heck? Now, what do I got here? A couple of things are absolutely in the way, but that's the way that goes. And, well, that's definitely wrong. Okay, that goes there. My apologies, just a file piece got in the way. Didn't get put where it belonged, or didn't get returned where it belonged. Now, we have Emmy Tonga is in with the bronze, and Joe Stewart, you're in with honorable mention. So let's keep the eyeballs on, see if we can actually read. Okay. Shadow and Sun, how you doing? Let's find that neat little file. I'll tell you, only having two screens to work with does make things a little bit more complicated. This is the link to Shadow's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. And do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylight out of the thing. Because it is literally by this mutual sharing, that we are going to make this world a better place. Or at least that we can. The neat little part about all this is most people talk about the paranormal. Some of you work within it. Okay, and as it was put to me one day, you guys have adopted the paranormal. Many of you have adopted the paranormal. You've studied it. You've done your research, and absolutely my hat's off to you guys. We take people, you take people that are doing the research. And frankly, I cannot hold a candle to you and don't even bother. Okay. But I was literally born to it. Okay, which is why I don't do a whole lot of research. It is also why, well, in all fairness, I do just about no research. Okay, but it is why when I talk about things, this is what I'm seeing, not necessarily this is what research shows. The entirety of my research boils down to well over 100,000 clients that I've worked with over the years in literally almost every field, where I've had people calling me up, asking for direction, asking for understanding what was going on. Heck, I even had a trucking firm one day phone me up, and it didn't clue into me what the problem was. But they told me who they were, which was great. Told me what they were looking for, i.e., when are my trucks going to be delivered, right? And we went through this conversation. I kept answering the questions. They'll be ready on such and such a day. That just about, you're only waiting for 2 more trucks to get finished, and then they'll ship the whole load. Well, we get about half an hour into this conversation. No, probably a little less than that. Probably about 15 minutes into it. And all of a sudden, the guy pipes up and goes, can you patch me through to John? And I said, well, I'm sorry, John doesn't work here. Now, the sad part was that we used to have John working beforehand. And I said, I'm sorry, John doesn't work here anymore. So this went back and forth for a bit. And all of a sudden, it dawns on the guy. And he goes, isn't this such and such a number? Right. Isn't it such and such a company? I went, no. Well, isn't this such and such a number? I said, it's absolutely the right number, except the area code's wrong. So the guy turns around and goes, well, why are you answering all my questions? I said, sir, you phoned the psychic line. He goes, well, what are you answering the questions for? I said, you've been asking questions. I've been answering them. I said, granted, I'm actually usually online. I'm not usually handling reception. It just didn't clue in. So he says, well, thank you very much. Sorry to bother you. Gets off the phone, phones the appropriate company. And 15 minutes later, he phones me back and goes, how the heck did you give me all the answers? I said, well, you asked, I answered. That's the way it works. I said, what's the problem? So he lists off. He goes, well, there's 2 more trucks left to be finished, and then they'll ship them out. They should be out by Thursday. He says, how could you have possibly known that? He goes, this is supposed to be a psychic line for entertainment. I said, that is how he's built. Absolutely. He goes, it's not entertainment to you, is it? I said, no. This is the way my world works. And this is the thing. The paranormal, i.e. that which is kind of normal. Where are we here? That which is kind of normal. Oh, that's always handy. Is normal once it happens often enough. Yeah, exactly, Robert. Partly normal. And it is, but when it happens often enough, it becomes the normal. Okay, and this is why I take a look at it and we're going, okay, what do we got? What is happening? How do we take this all and put it into solid shape for 2024? Because I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in another 2023. It just isn't of any enjoyment to me. I had enough of a problem with 2024 or with 2023. 2024, I intend on making a whole lot better. And let's put it this way, who's with me? Because I'll tell you, the way this world has gone is not of a whole lot of enjoyment in my eyes. Now, what do I got here? 8,000 pens on my desk. I don't really require them. Okay, so while I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to put these back where they belong. What do we got? Pens. Again, one of the biggest factors for making certain that everything works out right is to get organized. Now, I'm going to show you something here because I used to play with it. I've forgotten all the moves on it. We actually started wrapping up the Christmas decorations today. The tree will be gone by tomorrow, probably by the end of the night. But I'll bet some of you guys recognize this. Okay, I was given one of these. I used to be able to do it. Now I've forgotten 3/4 of the move, so that's going to take a little bit of a jaunt. Yeah, pretty much there, Robert. 8,000 pens and none of them work. I'm going through them. I'm definitely going through them to get rid of the ones that don't work. But it takes some doing. Oh, by the way, wish me luck. Up here in Canada, we cannot get bugles anymore. They just don't sell them up here. But my other half is apparently shipping me some. Hopefully they'll be here in time for New Year's. That's terrible, their football. Yeah, I was talking to my other half. Apparently, she can get them from down there, so she's shipping them up here. We've been getting bugles up here periodically. How I've been getting them, I have no idea. I have less concern. But then again, before Christmas happened, like before Christmas came in, I got the last package of licorice all sorts to hand off to somebody for Christmas. Off to my best friend's mother. In all fairness, she's close enough now that I usually end up calling her mom and her husband dad. We're not related. My mom and dad passed away. Carl, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hope your Christmas has gone well. So I got the last pack of licorice all sorts because this woman really likes them. So I've gotten her a pack every year. Where it came to mincemeat, we found the last 2 bottles of mincemeat in 2 cities. I mean, this is like the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. So I mean, all in all, it's not a bad setup. What I won't have this year, and it's okay, is I won't have the chip dip for them. Forgot to get that, which means I'll have to go out tomorrow. Gonna have to go tomorrow. We won't have chip dip. Already got the pop. Already got the chips. Right. New Year's is coming in. Well, frankly, it'd be an idea to be set for it. Now, what do I got here? This thing I used to play. Can you believe, get this? My little brother used to actually be able to put this thing back together in 45 seconds behind his back. I used to be able to do it in 5 minutes. Now, I don't remember most of the moves. So that's going to take a little while. But I used to do it one-handed in about 10 minutes. But going back to the paranormal, you take a look at the world. Okay, this actually works kind of neat. All kinds of different races all over the world. Okay, none one of them more important than the next. But we have been taught that the paranormal is weird, it's spooky, it's frightening, it's evil. I'm not entirely certain about the evil, but I write backwards too. So every time I go to write evil backwards, I end up looking at it and it says live. There's an idea for you. How about if we take the negative of the paranormal and go, we're not doing that anymore? Okay. When we look at the paranormal, that which is only sort of normal, that which is rare is, a little disconcerting. The more often it happens, the more normal it becomes. And that's just the reality behind it. One of the big things we have to look at is, frankly, take a look at the way the world is. Okay, and the way that the world is progressing. What do we get here? Yeah. What we got here? Robert's going, get the 6 different colors in paint. Does the cube in 6 easy strokes. Yeah, but often there, Robert, much as I've seen people do that, I've seen people take these things apart, physically rearrange them, put them back together. And to my way of thinking, easy is not necessarily the best. Okay. I mean, we could take that into a very, shall we say, adult oriented idea, and it's still not the best option. And that's pretty much where I'm going to leave that comment before I get myself into trouble. But when we take a look at the paranormal, now for me, watching somebody walk through my wall, this is normal. Okay. Having a file that was sitting right there end up sitting somewhere else. This is a normal day in my life. Okay. For most people, it's not. Let me ask you this, guys. Have any of you gone through a situation where it used to be considered either abnormal, paranormal, bizarre, and has happened so often that now it is just plain the way it is? Has anybody gone through that side of things yet? Just a curiosity thing here. Where are we here? Not in the slightest, football. To Bigfoot, to Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, Abominable Snowman, all of them have the same thing. It's just another group of individuals learning how to communicate. The really good people that are good at have got the whooping down properly without getting a whooping. Okay, these people take a look at it. Okay, they take a look at it as though it is children learning to talk. Where are we here? Whoop. See if I can blow that up a little more. Absolutely agree with you there, Robert. Oh, speaking of which, the abnormal becoming the normal. Give me 30 seconds because I do have some new things for you here. I keep getting asked periodically about new figures. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to work because that's going to leave one heck of a mess. As we can tell, my day's going well. There we go. Now, yeah, that's always fun having the spirits do that. Moving stuff around, rearranging things. I remember when I was still with the wife, that when I was still married, we were doing canning, and all of a sudden, she turns around to get something off the counter, and the paring knife goes missing. So she turns back around, looks at she sees the paring knife is gone, looks at the roof and goes, "Look, you guys want to hang on to the paring knife. You're doing the peaches, right? So you don't want to have to do the peaches. You're going to put the thing back." She turns back to get something off the counter again, turns back, The paring knife is right there back on the counter. Apparently, they got the message. I see people walking into walls. I watched somebody walk into traffic one day, and if the driver hadn't been looking, right, the guy would have been dead. But you would have loved the Far Side cartoon that I saw. Here we have a beach full of people walking along, staring at them with their heads down. And then you've got these two big holes and with feet sticking out of the holes. And this little boy is standing there with a shovel in his hand, talking to a little girl with a shovel in her hand. And the boy goes, "So how many did you catch?" This thing is literally this is the zombie apocalypse in my eyes. Okay. But you want the paranormal going normal? Back in the 1960s, this thing, was science fiction. This was paranormal. The first cell phones that came out weighed a ton. Essentially, yes, Robert. And you can bet some of those people were playing that game while they walked into the hole. Now, the brick phones. I mean, you think about it. You hit somebody with one of these, the phone is toasted. You hit somebody with the original cell phones, with the original portables, and you're going to likely kill the poor guy if you hit him in the right place. If you don't kill him, there are options. But no. The fact of the matter is, the Nokia 1080 was indestructible. Pretty much. It's like when I was growing up on the coast. During school, they used to tell us, there were days they'd say you cannot have a snowball fight. Of course, the thing on the coast was you could pack a snowball and put it through the front window of the car. Out here in the valley where I live now, they go, "Oh, you can't have snowball fights. The snow is powder. You're lucky if you can get it to make a snowball." And yet they still complain about it. But this was the epitome of paranormality. Okay, now we're living with the thing. But I have managed to, what we got? Yeah, that was just it. We used to get ice, and I mean, if you're going to throw stones, and Lord knows I've been stoned a number of times, and I'm talking this lifetime, just never to death. Okay, I used to get pelted with stones by people all the time. And people wonder why I'm not impressed with humans a lot of the time. But when things happen often enough, the paranormal becomes the normal. Okay, the abnormal becomes the normal. Okay, Lord knows we're in trouble if the world ever straightens itself out to the point where I become the epitome of normalcy. We could be in serious trouble. But when we take a look at the way the world is right now, do you really desire it to continue on the path it's currently on? Okay. Now, I've got a number of things on the go. A lot of it I've managed to get out of the way. A lot of the stuff I've managed to get dealt with. What is that? Yeah, why don't we turn that back on? That's my fan. Keep my temperature down a little. Now this. Oh, that's the list I got to deal with. But I ran off to get something because now this little guy here, I actually didn't realize I had him. I actually thought I didn't have one of these. Okay, but I picked this up because I needed some new figures, and I figured before the end of the year, I'm going to get the new ones for me. Oh. Does not come with a stand. Normally they come with a round disc. In this case, they really didn't need it. But I now, if you take these two and the one I've got from my childhood, I now have a pride of saber-toothed tiger cats. Okay, or the saber-toothed tigers, or whatever you want to call them. Obviously, if it's a tiger, it's a cat. Yeah, no doubt, Robert. Robert's going, one me per universe. Yeah. I mean, there is a multiverse. There's no question there. Stephen Hawking was only about a week or two away from mathematically proving its existence. Problem was he died before he could. I mean, that was a man with a phenomenal mind. But from what I gather, he wasn't the entirely the brightest. I mean, he made some comments that were absolutely bizarre. But he was right about a lot of it. Now, as it turns out, well, this one again, these two ended up, as it turned out, being turned out to be duplicates of ones I already had. But I didn't realize I had a figure that will work out very nicely as a Laborian. Okay, I've been looking for figures that will actually hold stable where it comes to the writing I'm working with. And then we just have another individual. I'll be doing a bunch of painting over the next couple of days here. You know, I've finally got things organized to actually get to that point. And then what do we got here? And then we have this one. Now, this one, I've got just about every other giant that these guys produce. If I can figure out how to get into it, that would be great. This one I didn't have. But there we go. And this is actually really close to the right size. She stands at an angle. But here we have a wood giant. But here's the thing. Okay, and this is where we go back to that abnormal thing. Okay, now picture this. This is actually about the right size for an adult Anunnaki. This is about the right size for a human. Now, I was talking to a chap one day, and he claimed to be a natural half-breed, not hybrid, of an Anunnaki. Now, the only way you can get a half-breed is if you actually crawl into bed with somebody in the way that humans know how to procreate. Can you picture trying to have any sort of a physical relationship with that kind of a size difference? Okay, this is where we run into an interesting snag. But this is about the right size. And if you look at the skeletons that are being found around the world lately, they're finding ones this size. You know, giants didn't exist much. Okay, but you take a look at that. And this works out really nicely from my standpoint. Okay, this one I was really content when I found this guy. Well, this gal. And then we've got our wonderful, had a character that ran into these the other day. Wasn't fun. Bear in mind, the reason it wasn't fun is because what these guys are. Only one. That's just a stand. But, there we go. Now, you can see the size of this guy, a giant toad. Okay. Well, think about it. There's a human sized, and there's the toad. As you can see, there might be a problem. The character I was working with, that I was running, was a halfling, or more to the point, is a halfling. Can you picture the problem he may have had with somebody this size? So put him over there. And that's the other one. Yes, these guys are a little on the small side, but that's the way the figures go. That one will show you in just a second. And again, for me, this is normal. I picked these guys up because it's going to make it so much easier to choreograph what I'm working on. These ones I was not expecting to find, but I figured when I came across them. And Shadow, you probably recognize these guys. No, what we got here? Yeah, it would be there, Robert. You'd have to look at that as a definite cloning issue, but you couldn't clone to get that size because cloning replicates. I don't know if the world could handle two of you there, Robert. I know the world wouldn't be able to handle two of me. I don't think they've ever tried that, but hey, what the heck? I'm confusing enough for me. Now these guys, and they do exist, okay? I was just kind of, the thing you got to remember, the imagination is a fantastic place. And many things have evolved now. To be honest, I don't recall seeing an off-world race like this. This is a bipedal rhino. Makes for an interesting idea, though. Okay. And as you can tell, well, I don't think you can tell yet, he's in a business suit. Okay. And then I've got his other buddy here. This one's in a business suit carrying a maul and a briefcase. But his friend is also in a business suit, much like the old mafia, carrying a Tommy gun. Okay. But like I said, I do not recall ever seeing an off-worlder that looks like a rhino. Okay. This one, on the other hand, is another issue altogether. And this one, I think, would be fabulous. This would be great to find in some ways, but I can see it being problematic. Uh-oh, are we tied in? I love when they package these things so tight you can't get them out. I apologize for noise, but let's face it, that just goes with the territory. There we go. Now, the neat part about this one is I'm in the middle of writing another science fiction story called Beyond the Portal. Okay. I already had one critter from that world that was designed that looked similar to this. It's up front. And I don't know exactly. I know it's in the bins, but I'm not going to try and take the time to sort it out. But this little guy I picked up because he fits perfectly with one of the books I'm writing. Whoop. There we go. So, again, the paranormal is a very simple thing. If it is not common, if it's rare, it is essentially paranormal. If you can't explain it, that pretty much fits the bill. Okay, so now what we're looking at is how do we make the paranormal normal? Well, that's easy. Those of you that are already active researchers, you're already making the paranormal normal. Those of you that have already seen enough of UFOs, enough of alien races, or the lights in the sky, this sort of thing, that to most people is paranormal. To you, that is likely a normal thing. Now, for me, I take my hands, I put them together, okay, and you can do the same thing. For me, feeling the energy off of people is just a normal thing to do. For most people, it's like, oh, wow, that's weird. I can feel it. That said, give it a shot. If you haven't done this before, take your hands, turn them palms towards each other, bring them about a quarter inch to a half an inch apart. You'll feel something between your hands. You won't be able to see it in all likelihood, though some of you will. Okay. So you take a look at it and you feel that energy. Now, many people will call that paranormal. I'm telling you, that is what Nathan quite often will call quantum, what I tend to refer to as 0 point energy. Oh, there we go. Robert White has looked it up. Para in the dictionary. Beside, alongside of, beyond, aside from. And I'm absolutely certain he's putting the rest of them in. Okay, so we're just gonna, so I don't have to go looking it up. And thank you very much for that, Robert. But when you take a look at the world, okay, when we take a look at the paranormal world, how do you make it normal? You make it normal by experiencing it. Okay, now I am only one individual. There are a staggering number of sites out there of people exploring the paranormal or turning the lights on and going, this is what's going on. Oh, here we go. Robert is adding to it. As for the node of power that forms between the hands, it is usually a blue orb in my case. There you go. Yeah, and that's just it. By the way, Robert, thank you so much for sharing that. When I was younger, I couldn't see color, so I just saw different fields of density. Okay, but blue is a normal color. It is a normal color. Many people experience it. Blue, in many people's eyes, look at it as communication. Some look at it as spiritual energy. I look at it as blue. Okay. I've learned what other people call it, but from my standpoint, it really is what you do with it that matters. And that energy you're feeling that you see there, Robert, as you're well aware, the energy itself is neither good nor bad. What it is done with it is what makes it good or bad. I'm definitely going to have to get to coloring these. I got to do it. I think I'm going to do an inventory count today. That's going to take a while, but I'm going to do it anyway. And find out just literally how many figures I've got. Not how many of each one, just a total count. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a neat thing. That bioenergy you're generating. But I don't know if you find this. Sending it through electronic devices does work, don't get me wrong. But I have found myself that I can burn an electronic device out doing that. Ultimately it boils down to this. My energy runs a little on the high side. And no, I have not actually figured out how to cycle it down properly. Not consistently. I have done it. Okay, I remember starting a car battery one day, or more to the point, charging a car battery one day. My dad looks at me and goes, if you're going to do that, you've got to be careful because you can overcharge it and blow it up. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. But it was neat. My father never told me I couldn't do it. He did tell me to keep it quiet. Uh-oh. Robert goes, first time I did it in 94, I knocked out 3 sites in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I had a call. I got a call from a buddy of mine one day. And he phones me up and he goes, Keith, what would knock out every cell phone carrier in the area all at the same time, at precisely the same time? I says, the only thing that can would be somebody would have to knock out would have to take a communication satellite and move it offline. He never blinks. He goes, Keith, were you and your other half, were you guys in the middle of a fight at 2 o'clock? I mean, yeah, pretty volatile, vocal one. Why? He goes, can you guys calm it down? That's the precise time that all of the cell phones went out. And the reason this guy knew that the cell phones all went out is he worked for a cell phone support company. Okay. So, I didn't knock out the power for the cities. I did knock out the power for the custom system at the airport one day. That was fun. Well, I thought it was fun. We were having a little bit of a heyday with it. But when things happen often enough, okay, the paranormal becomes the normal. And this is why I said a long time ago that science and religion go hand in hand. They are mutually beneficial, because religion explains the inexplicable until science can figure it out. What do we got here? Robert's going, there's a beach in the mid-coast of New South Wales that is still radioactive from a blast I sent out. Nicely done. Well, maybe not. This is the funny thing about the energy that people carry. When I say 0 point energy is usable, is a very viable tool. It can be used for good or for bad. What you do with it is entirely up to you. Okay, and that's just the reality behind it. No, I'm not actually going to be painting right now. It's just dawned on me this was settled. Okay, that's better. Anyway, guys, when we take a look at the paranormal, okay, let me ask you this: if you could be shown how to do something in the paranormal field, yeah, Robert White goes, that leads me to the New Year's resolutions. No one says it has to be for good. This is true, but karmic law does dictate, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. So if you're aiming at something bad, understand that falls under the other one. Energy out, energy in. You put out negative, you're going to get it back. Okay. Now, that's up to you what you call positive or negative. It's like the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips and chains excite me. I mean, the reality of it is that when you're looking at things, and yeah, that's a very strong, very common belief there, Robert, and one I've gotten into a discussion with a number of different pagans about that have constantly said, whatever you put out comes back by 3. Problem is, if that were the case, if that held as solidly true as what people are led to believe, all of us every one of the people in this room would be multi-billionaires right now, because I'm pretty certain that you guys are all putting out a lot of effort, a lot of energy to helping other people. Whether it's by loaning them money or by buying stuff for them to help them, maybe it's just helping them heal. Okay, maybe it's just providing a soft shoulder. Okay, but if you're putting out that kind of good energy and it comes back to you threefold, okay, if that is the case, then does it not stand to reason if you put out, just for simplicity's sake, you loan somebody $1,000 or you give somebody $1,000, does it not stand to reason that you get back $3? Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of like if wishes were pennies, I'd be a multimillionaire. But the reality of it is, we're going into 2024. Now, from your standpoint, I did get my list together. Okay. This neat little list I mentioned to you guys, I suggested you get 12 items on your list to be completed by the end of 2024. Now, there's going to be other things, I hope, that you do aside from whatever you put on your list. Okay. I've got my 12 listed. Okay, with room to grow. But they are going to be dealt with. There we go. So, when you think about it, the paranormal is simply an issue of we don't necessarily understand it. Okay, it's outside the normal field of things. It's outside of common teachings or common experience, which makes common sense a paranormality at this point. I'm almost certain of it. Take a look at the number of people that you've run into that are doing things completely backwards that don't make any functional sense. Now, I will tell you, from my standpoint, where's my list? Put my pen down, forget what I did with it. Oh, yes. Yeah, I've got a list here. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 13, 13 items on my list are already completed for today. And I've got another 8 that I'll be working on as soon as I'm done this stream. But again, let me ask you this. If there is something, is there anything in the paranormal field that if it were possible to show you how to make it happen so you could directly experience what it was, is there anything out there that you guys would like to take a look at? Because I'm seriously looking at planning out workshops and what have you for people to be produced on live stream, to get people to work with. Yeah, Joe goes, I don't think the paranormal can ever be normal, especially what I've seen at night. I was like, what the hell is that? That's not normal. And the odd part about it is, and I can tell you this from practical experience, at least for me, Robert, seeing what you're seeing in the graveyard, okay, is absolutely paranormal for you. Okay, for me, what you're seeing in the graveyard, I see walking down the street with a whole lot more in vibrant color. in the show Ghostbusters, when they show the jogger running down the sidewalk. Okay, I see that all the time. Okay, and I'll tell you, you walk into the hospital, and the number of people that are dead that are walking around going, but I'm not, I'm right here. Don't give up on me. Don't move my body to the morgue. You would be amazed how many people in the hospital that are dead are still hanging around wondering what they're doing with what people are doing with their bodies. We constantly get reports of people that have been on an operating table and looked down on their body being operated on and could recall everything the doctors were saying. This is a normal part of life. It's just like in my experience, and eventually, Joe, you may come to see it this way. I don't know. In my experience, seeing a spirit walking around without a body is very similar to seeing a pedestrian walking around without a car. Okay, they're always there. Where are we here? Robert's gone 33 hours until 2024 for me. For me, at least. Yep, you're a little ahead of us. But let's face it. That's one of these situations where we'll all get there. Time is not a race. Okay, the odds are I'll get to 67 years old before many of you will. Heck, I'll get to 61 before many of you get there. No, not the dog, the jogger, or more to the point, I've seen joggers that are simply in ghost form and still running. Okay, I have seen pedestrians waving, trying to flag down a cab. And I mean a disembodied body, a ghost, standing on the street corner, screaming for all they were worth to flag down a cab. What I haven't yet seen is a cab stop and pick one up. Absolutely correct, Robert. For me, my eyes have always worked a little screwy. But the thing is, and this is one of those neat little things, I wonder if I've got it. I think it's on the bed behind me here. That was a near disaster. Oh, gotta show you that. My son moved it. Some of you guys will get a bang out of this. This was a gift from my youngest son. Okay, now what it says. This is a TV nostalgia. Okay, with the Lucy Show, the Andy Griffith Show, the Beverly Hillbillies, Dick Van Dyke Show, and the Red Skelton Show. But this is a bunch of DVDs, which, from my way of thinking, worked out rather nicely. Just thought I'd share that with you. Again, I'm still stuck very much in the past in a lot of ways. Yeah, absolutely, Robert. Clearly, somebody remembers their old movies. Their old sitcoms. But no, I was quite. I haven't looked. I haven't opened up and popped it in the PS5 yet. But the fact he went out of his way to get it for me was kind of neat. By the look of it, he got it early in the year. Yeah, the funny thing is, one of the problems I run into with the hospital is I'll go into the hospital, and I will tell you, the dead walking amongst the patients, including deceased doctors, okay, is absolutely mind-boggling. Okay, this is half of what causes my problem. It's sensory overload. But when things are happening too often, all of a sudden it's like, this is no longer weird. This is just the way it is. And some of you guys have gone through this. Okay, but this is why I said, looking into 2024, I am going to be setting up workshops and what have you, or short little, probably parts of the show to handle the education or handle the training side of it. Yeah, it's a little day. Did you ever, curiosity, Robert, while you were in there, did you ever have a deceased doctor try and take your try and take your temperature, your blood pressure? It's fun watching them try and pick up the equipment. And we got Joanne. How we doing? Glad you could join us. By the way, Merry Christmas and hopefully a soon to be Happy New Year. The reality of it is we are looking at a world that it's time we take dominant control over and really start making it happen. Now let's see what we've got here. I'm just refreshing the other screen to see what my count is. Okay. One of my goals this year, and I've got absolutely just about no control over it, is to, like, I was hoping to get to 1,000 this year. Clearly, like I said, in 2022, I set some phenomenally large projects for myself. This year, I'm a whole lot more reserved on size of projects. Yeah, that can take a little bit of getting used to anyway, can't it, Robert? You watch the patient come out, and then 5 minutes later, the doctors come out. When 5 minutes to an hour later, doctors come out wheeling the body with them, and meanwhile, the patient's already wandered off down the hall. But this is something, and in all fairness, Robert, wouldn't surprise me to see this continue on for you and get even more vibrant over the next little while. But I'm looking at things now going, okay, we've got the live stream. I'm working out exactly how I'm going to do it. And most of it I've already worked out as far as having very definitive topics lined up for the new year. I just decided that the last couple of sessions of streams here we're going to be a little on the simply, let's look at what we're looking at. Are you content with the way your life is? Well, where are we here? Robert goes, prior to going to Brisbane, I was given dreams from someone trying to get a warning out about drone attacks in the pre-war with UK and Russia. And the sad part is the war itself, and it's not that I don't see the war as a problem. The war is a massive problem. But what we have to realize is the modern weapons are, quite honestly, in my opinion, in some ways it's a good thing, are desensitizing people to the brutal reality of war. Okay, unless you're caught right smack in the middle of it. Okay, and rest assured, I do not wish war on anybody. You would know that by the way my novels get written sometimes. But when you take a look at the modern technology, drones are just plain normal. Okay, Bad Daddy, how you doing? Merry Christmas and hopefully a soon to be Happy New Year. But remember, not too happy. I'm lucky. I get to stay home. I don't drink a lot anyway. But my youngest son asked if he could have a couple of drinks for New Year's. Now, bear in mind, my youngest son is only 18. But My ex-wife and I years ago agreed the moment they hit 10, if they desire to try a sip at home, they're welcome to. At 18, I already know he's been drinking. Well, heck, he told me he had been. You know, oh heavens no. In all fairness, Robert, for me to drink and drive is going to be a problem. I'm in my apartment. And if I go and get my car and try and drive it around my apartment, there's a problem. Or at least I'm going to end up being evicted. But no, when the thing is, way back, I made a commitment to myself. Drinking and driving was just something I will not do. When counterattack first came across the border from the States into Canada, I worked with them. Now, counterattack was against drunk driving, but we used extremely graphic videos to say this is what happens. I lost a really good friend when I was in grade 10. I lost a really good friend to drunk driving. And the very hard part about it for me was I told her, you're going to this party, do not get into a vehicle with anybody that's been drinking. And of course, she had the same attitude. Oh, I'll be fine. Nothing's going to happen. So she got into the vehicle with two people that had been drunk and that had been drinking. She herself had not drank. They had an accident. We buried her the following weekend. Ouch. Yeah, and no doubt there, Robert. I mean, let's face it. Drinking and driving, I am 100% against. Okay. I used to live at the bar. Right. But what I do is I go down to the bar, I drink from 8 at night until midnight. Then I'd stop drinking and just go to straight pop. But I'd be at the same bar for the next 3 to 4 hours before I go. Ouch. Yeah, and watching somebody drink themselves to death or drink and then go out and handle things. It's not like the old sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati. It's not like Johnny Fever. The more the more you drink, the faster your reflexes. That is not normal. Ouch. No, well, I really do feel for you there, Joanne. Or more to the point, I feel for the friend that I guess is for you, because the friend's all out of the woods at this point. But no, the sad part is that people when they're drunk are more relaxed. The people that aren't drunk tend to get hurt more, and it's just wrong. This is why when my son was out, my eldest son was out, he was in pretty rough shape. And I told him point blank, I said, look, you get out of kilter. I don't like driving at night, right, because I don't see well. But I would rather drive out and pick him up. Okay. I'd rather drive out and pick him up and get him home safely than have some genius pick him up and drive that's drunk. I lost a neighbor of mine just the other day. He was out on a motorcycle and a drunk driver ran a red light and picked him off. On the plus side, like I told his mom and dad when I talked to them, I said, my sincere condolences. The only thing I can say of any positive nature here is thankfully your son was dead before he hit the ground. It's a terrible thing to have to bury your own kid, especially when it's something that can be avoided. Now get this, and I've said this to other people. Why do we have a law? And I don't know in your guys' area. In this area, okay, if you're going to open a pub, you have to have X number of parking stalls available to the pub. Now, here's the problem. It's illegal to drink and drive. You can't leave the car overnight at the parking stall, in the parking lot. Why do you have to have parking stalls? Realistically. Yeah, Robert just going, I'd have gone, I would have to ride the car after he. A good friend of mine used to have to drive his father home after he'd been drinking. Fortunately, he stopped drinking now. And I've seen way too many people die because of drunk driving, especially when, like I said, I used to work for Counterattack, which was an anti-drug and drunk driving firm. I was lucky. I never had to drive my dad, thankfully. But my dad was weird from that end. I'm sure my dad drank. Right. As a matter of fact, by his own admission, when he was a young airman, he drank a lot. But fortunately, my father was not an alcoholic. I tried it. It worked out well for a while. Now I don't touch the stuff. Don't get me wrong. I am going to, even though I've been told I've got to cut my pop out and cut a lot of things out. Right. I did pick up a pop for this for New Year's Eve. Bad Daddy's going, big LTD could barely see over the steering wheel. Yeah, my brother used to he drove a Chevy too, which is just a little car. But Dad put him on to get him to be able to drive. My dad would put dictionaries or phone books, and they built blocks for the gas pedal so my brother could reach. But the moment somebody passes away because of drunk driving, like the friend of mine that I lost just a few months ago, he left a 3-year-old daughter behind. Right. I mean, it's a terrible thing to go, I've lost my parent because of this. Hopefully, it prompts the child to stay away from alcohol from that end. But again, when I'm talking about the paranormal being normal, unfortunately, many times people will take the idea of alcoholism or drug addiction and call that normal because that's all they've ever seen. For me, I've seen a lot. There's a lot I don't agree with. Okay. And I'm just referring to this lifetime, never mind another one. Okay. So it really is an issue in my eyes that we've got to look out for each other. Okay. As the saying goes, it takes a community to raise a child. More often than not, Joanne, you're absolutely right. Joanne's just going, children of alcoholics suffer from trauma, and they usually have a problem with alcohol. Absolutely. Now, alcoholism ran in my family. My second eldest brother was an alcoholic. I was for a time. My little brother was. Well, actually, I think my little brother may still be. I'm not entirely certain. But then, when you're younger and you want to go out and party, absolutely knock yourself out. Just use your brains. Okay. I knew, whenever I was going out, if I knew I was going to be drinking heavily, I'd leave my car at home and take a cab down. Something about this idea of I can't drive the thing home if I can't figure out which road to drive on. And I don't mean which one is in sense of direction. I mean, you got 2 roads, pick the middle one. But there's all sorts of things that happen. The thing with alcohol is this. Okay. Alcohol knocks out your trained and learned inhibitors, meaning it takes your self-control and your judgment and throws it out the window. That's just the reality of it. Yeah. Bad Daddy goes, I did stupid things when I was young. Barely drink anymore. Yep, no doubt. Oh, that is fantastic, Joanne. Joanne's just going, my grown daughter takes an Uber with her girlfriends so she can have one or two. Now, I gotta say, that's got to make you relax a lot more when she goes out for a drink. My son, my eldest son, still goes out for drinks. Of course, he's 26. It's kind of part and parcel. He goes out for drinks, but he'll take a cab to come home. In all fairness, he has to take a cab to go there. When you don't have to worry about is your kid going to end up wrapped around a telephone pole, it is so much easier to relax and go to sleep. I mean, and you can tell a child, or you can tell your friend, get a ride home. Please, it's better. I don't want you being buried. It was funny. I told my son the other day, my eldest, when I told him, yeah. See, I unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, I'll fall asleep almost at the drop of a hat. No, I'm not narcoleptic, but my body goes, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. I just get warning, and narcoleptic doesn't. But my son come up to me when I got back from the doctor. My eldest son comes up to me and he goes, I know you're not worried about your health, Dad, but I prefer not to have to bury you before I graduate. Because he's in college now. And I'm like, no, I'm not dying anytime soon. I've already done that before. I don't need to do it to get to get another run at it. But again, we've got all sorts of drug addicts, all sorts of alcoholics out there. There is a saying that goes, everything in moderation. Okay. My youngest, thankfully, he discovered, he goes, I'm a real lightweight. I can only have a beer or two. And then I'm toast. But he recognizes that he's got that problem. Okay. Or that limit. And this is all you can do, is educate the kids enough so they know their own limits and that they adhere to them. So I mean, when you look at it, you have to realize we've all made mistakes in 2023. I'm absolutely certain everything you set out to do, you didn't necessarily get accomplished, or it didn't turn out quite the way you desired it to. Okay, I'm pretty certain every one of you has something that didn't go quite right. But I'm looking at it going, I'm going into 2024. I'm hitting the deck at a dead run to make this to make this year better than any of the others beforehand. Okay. Now, how I'm going to do this, I don't know. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And let us deal with this. Right there. This is the link to Nathan's show. So, drop in. Do listen to what he has to say. If you like what he says, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. That would be really appreciated. Like I said, it's this sharing of each other's videos, the live streams of our experiences, that are going to make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. Now, let's see. Tomorrow is Saturday. I think tomorrow's Saturday. Tomorrow is Saturday. Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at that, Nathan. That one I'm going to do my level best. Well, I keep trying to be at them, but let's face it, my energy levels get really screwy. But I am going to try and make the last show of the year. And well, I don't know if you do them on New Year's Eve. I won't be on the air on New Year's Eve. It's just not going to happen. You know, but I will tell you the thing I have noticed is that at least my focus while I'm awake has been working well. And as long as I keep myself occupied, I don't seem to have quite as many complications. But, since I got on the medication, so we'll see how long that holds. But when we look at this whole thing, we take it is normal to look at the future and go, I'd really like to do this. And here's the thing, I've got a list here, and I encourage you to put one up for you as well. Robert goes, hope so. It's Saturday here, so if it weren't Saturday tomorrow for you, something is out of whack, is out of wacky wobbly, timey-wimey whack. Yeah, no doubt. Although it would make for an interesting paranormal show. But we have such a wonderful world ahead in front of us if we choose to focus on the positive side. Okay, we can absolutely make this into a much better world. Now, I've got to put together something in the next couple of days. I've already been working on it to make certain. Oh, Bad Daddy, that's fantastic. Now, I'm presuming you're referring to catching bodies on one of your live streams. And Bad Daddy, I gotta ask, do you have an address that you can get to us regarding your live stream? We'll be absolutely, I'll be absolutely, tickled pink to give you the plug when we can. As you've seen, if you come in here at all, which we know you have, the moment somebody with live stream comes in, I make a habit of getting on board, of making certain I put the link in. Where did it would seem that I did something a little weird there. I lost one. Well, that just annoys me to no end. Gonna have to check that out here. What we do is we go to YouTube. Whoop. I just type it in here the way it's in the chat room there, Bad Daddy, and it doesn't show up. When I type it in, type the way it is, it doesn't show up at all. And the closest is a space between Bad and Daddy, but that's done with all lowercase. But like I said, oh, there we are. If you put Bad Daddy Days, okay. BAYZ. Okay. Now it looks like we've got a picture of a wolf. I wonder if that's the same one you got for your. Oh. Okay, good. So theoretically, I'm just on another screen here. Yeah. Oh, it's a picture of a werewolf. Okay. No, no, I cannot do that. I will take a look at that. Yeah. Okay, no, I found it in a manner of speaking, but I will take a look at that. That's for certain. You know, I have a tendency, and there's no question what I'm going to do, but to set it up properly. Um, I lost something. Oh, wait a minute. I wonder if see, I lost another link that I had, which annoys me to no end. Ah, perfect, Bad Daddy. I will absolutely take a look at that. You know, the reality behind it is when I take a look at I take a look at the different streams because honestly, it's a question of visibility. I take a look back at it this way. You go back to the cotton and hemp, back to the cotton wars. Okay, hemp got shoved out because of better advertising. Zombies, that too. But diamonds became so popular because somebody did a phenomenal job on marketing. Okay, and marketing boils down to visibility. So this is why I'm saying things in motion to really make everything move properly. But it's going to take all of us to countermand what so many people in control positions are doing. What I have to go back to there. The way I look at it is this. When we take a look at the paranormal, what is the paranormal? What is the abnormal side of things? Common sense, in my experience, has become an almost extinct commodity. Okay, but it's now normal for people not to look before they walk out in traffic. That used to be an abnormality. That used to be a paranormality, if you will. Somebody goes off into a daze and off they carry on walking, either into a wall, into a door, into traffic. Didn't matter. Today, that is almost the norm. Okay, I gave up counting the number of times I've nearly been driven over in a parking lot because somebody decided that the speed on the Autobahn was the speed you should be cutting through a parking lot. You know, something has dawned on me here. I've been dropping weight intentionally, and these things used to fit snugly. I was surprised. This is what my dad used to wear all the time, literally this pair. But they used to fit snugly. I dropped 60 pounds, they no longer stay on my feet properly. Which I'm not complaining, I'm not putting the weight back on for it. But if you desire, and there's so many of you out there that research the paranormal, that keep your eyeballs open for it. In my world, in our world, what we call the paranormal is closer to the normal than it is to the paranormal at this point, at least from my experience. When I can have items and things going missing while I'm looking at them, it's not just my eyesight because I keep getting witnesses that say the same thing. This is going to be interesting to paint. I'm just looking at this one. This is that neat little character that I picked up. I've got a smaller one of a similar nature, but it works out well for the new novel I started writing. I get too many on the go. Yeah, well, let's face it, Bad Daddy. The paranormal can get a little overwhelming. For me, it just carries on. It's not like I've been asked multiple times. Well, can't you just shut your senses off? I'm like, no. I'm pretty much stuck with what I'm seeing. Okay, but I am going to be putting workshops together where I'm going to take part. It may just turn out to be, because this is still in the planning stages, it may just turn out to be an issue of a little touch on a subject for the first half hour and then get back to normal. And that may well be the best way to do it. Okay, before things start getting underway with the stream, do the educational side of it and see if we can't get people moving in a more productive, more self-fulfilling and self-actualizing path. Okay, the reality of it is that we've got to do something to make sure this world gets back on a decent track. That's just in my opinion, this is something and it's our responsibility. And I don't just mean on my end. Everybody that has a live stream, okay, all of you, everybody that I put the streams up for, have an excellent attitude towards helping other people. Oh, absolutely, Joanne. I have absolutely run into that. The one thing there, Bad Daddy, is trying to figure out which are the best tools to start working with. Okay. And it may just be a question of introducing people to different ones. Because, like I said, I'm building an empire. I'm building a school, a publishing company, the whole 9 yards. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take a look at that and use this as an accent point. And then when I get enough interest, I'll put workshops together and use this just as a lead-in point, or more to the point, use the live stream as a way to educate people and to say, hey, look, you may be going through this. Much like, if you think about it, you look at the original movie Ghostbusters, and they came out with the ad, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, have you had things going bumping in the night in your house? Do you feel a cold breeze while you're sitting in the middle of a closed room? Are you experiencing these senses of deja vu or unqualified dread? If so, you may be suffering from a haunting. Call us. Right. Oh, Joanne, number one, first and foremost, yes, I start with the paranormal, but in this stream, anything goes. And I always tell people, or frequently tell people, if you've got a question or a topic on any topic, even if it's not what we're talking about right now, absolutely pop it in. Okay. Besides that, sensing somebody is evil. Okay. I hate to be the one to pop your bubble, if it is a bubble, but that is the very definition of paranormal. Being able to sense somebody that is that sour, okay, just by sitting in the area. That is paranormal sense. And curiosity is, quite frankly, the backbone of a lot of things. Sadly, curiosity was this neat little problem, okay, that wiped out the Lemurian Empire. Oh, yeah, undoubtedly, Bad Daddy. See, I don't recall suffering from sleep paralysis, but I do recall waking up for years from night terrors, to the point that if my wife had been a more sound sleeper, I'd have killed her in my sleep and not known anything about it. Joe goes, is there some truth of what they said in Ghostbusters 1 and 2? The answer to both of those is yes. Way more truth than people are willing to look at. Now, I will tell you, the sludge that they in Ghostbusters 2, the sludge that they showed there, that was creative artwork. Okay, yes, there is negative energy, and the more negative you get with people, the more negative people get around, the heavier that energy can be. And just like putting positive people together, okay, and this is where that idea, and I'm a bad one for it, I don't do it at all. Let's go back to Ghostbusters 1. Okay, the ghosts running around, absolutely, they're all over the place. I know this from practical experience. You really do, Joanne. In my opinion, it's one of the, watch Ghostbusters. I also strongly recommend watching Poltergeist. But if you have a problem with horror shows, don't watch that one at night. Another show that is really good from back in the 70s was Scanners 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And yes, Bad Daddy, you're absolutely right. Dogs can sense evil people. Absolutely. Because what they do is they sense what the intentions are. Now, in Ghostbusters 1, they showed all these ghosts running around and a way of catching a ghost. Well, you can catch a ghost. To the best of my knowledge, nobody has figured out how to actually generate a solid enough energy field, to trap them in a container. Okay, that part of it will have to leave to, if you will, extrapolation. Yeah, in all fairness, football, I haven't actually watched The Conjuring. I do hear it's a good movie, but I'm not much into horror shows either, which may well be why I didn't bother. To the best of my knowledge, nobody has managed to build a magnetic field that will contain a ghost. Okay, now Nathan may be the one to ask there. Okay, there are others. Oh, there you go. Yeah, liquid nitrogen. I mean, it's cute, but I know they tried to contain antimatter. That didn't work well either. This is why I say mankind's got some great potential. Okay, but with Ghostbusters 1, when we take a look at the backbone of it, that one evil entity trying to take over Earth, trying to bridge the gap. There are a lot of those trying to bridge the gap. Okay, but you'll notice they're not trying to conquer the world, they're trying to exterminate the thing. But they are not classified as off-worlders. Okay, the spirit world and the off-worlders, aliens, are not the same thing. But then aliens have problems with ghosts as well. Uh-oh. Joe. Oh yeah. No, I was looking at that. I was just thinking you were referring to The Conjuring, and I'm thinking it didn't strike me as a comedy, but Ghostbusters is funny. Yeah, no doubt there, Joanne. A lot of people with them. I'm like, my boys, years and years ago, I watched one that threw me for a loop, and that was Day of the Spider back in I saw it in about 1967, 68. Of course, I'd only been 4 or 5 years old when no, it would have been it would have been the early 70s when I saw it. Robert goes, that makes me question if ghosts have things that go bump in the night for them as well. Absolutely, they do. A beautiful movie that showed that quite nicely. Okay. The neat part there is the show Beetlejuice. showed that ghosts do, showed in a beautiful way how ghosts do experience things that go bump in the night. And yeah, Bad Daddy, Indians talk about soul eaters. Well, here's the thing: soul eaters exist. Okay. The thing is, people think once you die, that's where it ends. That's where it ends. Some people think that. But the kicker is this. Uh-oh. Okay, let's get a quick sound check. Are people still hearing me? Let me check on my end. Oh, good. Yeah, I can't do much about the audio. Unfortunately, that scrambles. But when a person dies, okay, some ghosts stay stuck. Some people stay stuck. Stay stuck in the physical world. They're not ready to let go. But a soul eater, what it doesn't actually technically eat the soul. What it does is it tears it apart and pulls it. Now, you've heard about soulmates, where two souls join together to become a much higher entity. A soul eater comes along and separates those two soulmates and casts them aside, causing them to forget where the link is, which means they are looking at the soul when that happens, now has to go and find its component parts again. You get a particularly vicious soul eater, and they'll tear it apart, and they will tear it in tiny little pieces, kind of like confetti. It doesn't technically kill the soul, but it certainly puts it into a bit of a backwash. Unfortunately, I can't do my technology and we have a really wonderful understanding. So when I go and buy the new system next year, I'm going to be buying a heavy duty signal boost as well, so it can pick it up as solidly as possible and get it put in properly. Okay, there's going to be a lot of change that I've got listed off, and I think right now I'm up front. I've got TV that I think that from one side to the other is 32 inches. I'm getting a bigger one next year. Don't know how big yet. Depends on how big I can find. But I intend on getting a bigger one just because I desire to. Like I said, I'm not against the material world. I just don't rely on it. How many of these do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all articles for Positive Perspectives that have already been written. Okay. And yeah, so start putting February's together. It's part of, if you were actually receiving the hard copy and you haven't seen one, I'm still putting out the newsletter, but I blew my printer up. So if you still desire it, I know there's a couple of you in Australia I was sending it to, but if you still desire it, drop me a line, get your email to me, because I'm only focusing on the email now, on the soft copy, looking at different ways of dealing with it. And I've got a couple of ideas in mind. But again, it boils down to finding a way to help people realize that the paranormal is normal. Okay. And yes, eventually we will do a few other things. But the more common or the more understandable we can make it, the better off we are. And I mean we as in the society, as in the global society, not just in it, because I will tell you, I've dealt with people all over the world. And no matter what color, who you vote for, how much money you've got, who you crawl into bed with, doesn't matter. You're all going through essentially the same thing. Each and every one of you is just as important as the next. Because the reality is, it takes all of the component parts to make this the world it can be. It's up to you whether we rebuild Eden or Shangri-La or whatever you want to call it, or whether we turn this into hell on earth. Okay. And this is why, that what you said there, Bad Daddy, I absolutely agree with you. All life is precious. They made a beautiful statement for that in the show Avatar. And this is why I tell people, when people start qualifying which lives matter, they're already creating a problem. Because it doesn't matter. A child, if you put children all together, okay, they don't care who their parents are. They don't care what the other kid's color is, on the whole. Now, I will tell you this. You take chickens, as in Kentucky Fried's Nemesis, or the Nemesis, or Kentucky Fried's Target. When you take chickens, I witnessed it with my own eyes. You take a whole family of white chickens, whole bunch of white chicks. You have a black chick that gets born. The white ones will try and kill it. This does not mean the black chicken is worthless. Okay. And the hope is that humans are more evolved and will come to accept the fact that skin color doesn't matter. Okay. It's a matter of pigmentation. Bill Cosby did a skit years ago, right? He says, bus drivers travel along, whole bunch of mixed kids. You got black kids, you got white kids, you got Hispanic, you got Oriental. They're all screaming at each other about which one of them is better. And Bill, the bus driver gets up. He says, "Okay, everybody off the bus right now, off the bus. Now all of you line up against the bus. From here on out, everybody is the exact same color. You're all green. That's it. Nobody's black. Nobody's yellow. You're all green. Now all of you get back on the bus. Dark green to the front, light green to the back." But yeah, Bad Daddy, there's no question God loves variety. This whole universe, all of existence is extremely organized. Okay, and it's all very methodically put together. It's not all planned, because the logic side of creation was, let's put the whole plan together. Okay, now make it all work. Look at the configuration of the atom as compared to the configuration of the cell structure of the universe. The galaxy, the universe. They all have the same pattern. This is the order that is laid out. Then we add chaos. And God turned around and gave everything living in existence freedom of will, freedom of will, freedom of choice. Did not give anybody freedom from consequence. And it's free will that brings in the chaos factor. But it's a balance point between chaos and logic or between chaos and order, that creates the world that we have. Okay. Yeah, and Joanne's going, I love mourning doves. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Joanne. Mourning doves, most of them they're kind of a grayish color, are they not? Like multi-hued. Thank you. Yeah, my ex, the moment her parents passed away, within a month of both of her parents passing away, she had a pair of mourning doves show up. Now they passed away a few months apart, so of course it was first one showed up, and then when the second parent died, the second one showed up. To this day, from my understanding, they're still around, and that's been a few years now. Now that one I'm going to have to take your word for there, Joe. Joe's just going, in the movie Poltergeist 1982 and Poltergeist 2, I think if you've seen Return of the Living Dead Part 2, well, that I did. If you look real good at Neighborhood, it's all filmed at the same location. Well, that makes sense. From my standpoint, that makes sense. I'm lucky if I recognize the building from last week. Never mind a building from, what would be now, 40 years ago. But when you think about it, what would be the logic if you've got a set that will do, given how much effort they put into making the sets in the old days, way back in the younger days of Hollywood, the amount of effort they put to build physical sets, it made sense to hang on to the set and just rework it. Why not, really? I mean, I don't know about you, but I rework stuff around my own house all the time. But I will be on tomorrow. I know it's still 15 minutes away before I shut down. But again, guys, if you do like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. I will be doing a stream tomorrow still. Don't know what I'll be dealing with, but I'll figure that one out when I get there. Where are we here? But thank you so much, Joanne. The neat part about it is we're sitting on the precipice of literally why there is such an increase in spotted UFO phenomenon. Because from a xeno-socioeconomic standpoint, society right now, our society, is on the verge of a massive change. Now, if we leave it to the people in power right now, and do understand something, the people that are in positions of power, this is not a question of derailing anybody. This is a question of realizing that the system is built right. The people running it seem to be misguided. But we are on a point, on a path right now. If we leave it to the so-called people in power's discretion, society will continue to degrade. Okay, this is showing no signs of slowing down. If, however, we go out of our way, wasn't that a song written somewhere there, Bad Daddy? Bad Daddy goes pathway to destruction. I wonder, we've got the highway to hell, we've got the stairway to heaven, we got the pathway to destruction. Wonder if there's a place that's called the stepping stones to creation. Yeah, it unfortunately is happening the same way it did 2,000 years ago. Well, 1,700 years ago. Okay, in Rome. I watched this happen myself. And yeah, I know that sounds completely looped. But we are on the same path. There's a staircase leading nowhere that's just for show. But that was in Fiddler on the Roof, I think. But it's not looking good because we've been focusing on, society has been taught, look at the lack. Look at what we're losing. Look at what we don't have. Okay. So, and that tells me what we're going to look at tomorrow. Because I won't be on the air on New Year's Eve. I am going to be gaming from noon until midnight. Maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, depending on how the day goes. So I'm certainly not going to be doing a live stream. That's just not the way I do things. Because for the last 20 years, my buddy and I, as long as he's been in town, playing Dungeons and Dragons, Joanne, since the first Saturday since the first Saturday in June of 1976, I've averaged 2 games a week. And yes, I got told all sorts of things. I was going to hell because I was playing D&D, but that was okay because I was also reading tarot in the middle of a Bible belt. This, by the way, is not a good idea. And then to make matters worse, I like country. Everybody else around me liked either Christian music or they, church music, or they liked rock and roll. So I really set the stage for a bad setup. And then, of course, I was already on a cane at 12. Talk about a bad stack. But you work with what you got. And the fact of the matter is, man is not gauged by the height to which he climbs, so much as by the depth from which he has climbed. Now you think about it, I've been an alcoholic, I've been a drug addict, I've been dead. That was fun. Actually, it was funner coming back and seeing the reaction on people. Oh. Robert, he's just terrible. That really is. See, this set of dice was built for the Yldrbac Chronicles, because in that story, it's the I'm a game. I've been a gamer all my life, but when you look at that, these dice, if you look at the bottom of them and you can't see it, I don't think. Yeah, you can see writing, but that literally says. It says Yldrbac, limited edition, set of 10. Right. And then it's got the initials JGW, which is Jeremiah. Okay, Jeremiah, by the way, is the lead protagonist in the Yldrbac Chronicles. And in the middle of the book, a group of gamers typed right into it. Like I've got a group of gamers that are actually caught in the middle of the world going to heck in a handbasket. And no, they are not mainstream fighters. But, I'm looking at a lot of change coming up this year. Some of it I've figured out here. But I do know tomorrow, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. That comes right out of Macbeth. I do know that tomorrow we are going to look at literally talking about and planning what we, not just this group, not just my stream, but you guys included, what are we planning on doing for 2024 to make this see, when you take a look at Shadow and Sun are the ones that do a lot of gaming, they do a lot of the figure painting and what have you. And I will be doing some of that tomorrow. Okay, while I'm on stream. But I'm still very old-fashioned in that respect. I do it tabletop. Okay, as in we use paper and pencils and dice and figures on the dining room table. But tomorrow we're going to end up looking at the different things that as individuals and working together as a society, what can we do to make an impact and change this world, guide it back to a positive footing. Like I said, I'm done playing games. I am building an empire with or without governmental support. I'm building a publishing company. I'm going to build a school. And that all starts taking place. Well, it's already started. But I'm going to start dealing with the educational side of it at the beginning of shows. In my eyes, that's going to work out best. But I'm going to bounce that off of my other half, and off of my gaming friend, to get the best idea. But that being said, if you've got any input to that point, absolutely let me know. Because I've taken a lot of encouragement and a lot of support from you guys. The reality is, Joanne, regardless of how old you are, okay, absolutely finding a gaming crew, especially if you can find one local, as in that you can sit down and game. I would strongly recommend it personally. Of course, you got to remember, I've been gaming twice a week since I was 13. Since I was 13 years old. I'm now 60. It seems to have hung on. Not quite certain how that happened, but what the heck. It really is a good escape. We actually, Bad Daddy, we had a psychiatrist, a professional psychiatrist, sit in on a game one day, just saying so she could get a handle on it. As it turned out, she married one of our gamers. But she asked me, and she sat in, and she goes, at the end of the night, she says, "This reminds me of the old campfire stories, where everybody sits around a campfire. In your guys' case, you sit around a table, right? And then one person lays out the scene, and then everybody else picks one character and adds to the story, and they can get extremely involved. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how I can do that here. I don't know if it's even possible, but somebody did ask me did suggest that I write an interactive story, and that's already been laid out to start with. So that again is another one of the little projects I'm working on. But I got so many on the go, I've got to pare them down and go, there's the priorities. Yeah, that's the neat thing, Bad Daddy. I have considered that. My ability to track gaming right now is a little bit of a problem. I packed it in for game mastering for the moment until I can get my brain working again properly. But Zoom may well work. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Spent way too much broken sleep, but yeah, it was actually a good day, Derek. We've started bringing the Christmas tree and the Christmas decorations down. Once this stream is done, we'll be bringing the tree down. I don't know if we'll bring it down today or tomorrow, but it'll be gone before Sunday. But all in all, it's been a good day. Hopefully your day has gone well. We've got a wonderful setup coming up here with 2024 coming in. And I personally intend on landing on hitting the deck running and making things happen. Oh, nice. There's a lot of people who look at hot dogs and go, "Oh, that's not good for your health." Neither starving. And besides that, I look at it this way. As long as they shave the dog before they cook him, we should be good. But, the reality of it is, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. I've got this great big humongous dream of what I desire to build. I take a look at Colonel Sanders, the guy that built Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was 65 when he started. I've got absolutely no doubt. I've got no doubt that I can do the same thing. I'm not going to be cooking. Rest assured, not going to do that. But with that in mind today, guys, tried English. Now, with that in mind, we are hitting the 2-hour mark. Brain's going on hold, obviously. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the active side. Oh, there we go. Absolutely, Joanne. do come in, do drop by tomorrow. We are going live. We will be discussing how to make 2024 a better year for as many people as we can. We're going to talk about not just what I'm up to, okay, but what we as a group, as a society can change. Okay, it is time to get started. Now, with that in mind, I do want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me, guys. I really do appreciate it. I love the encouragement and the support. So with that in mind, we are going to bring this to a close. Until tomorrow, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.